and the award-winning Jeep Grand Cherokee. Don't hold back.
It's all about the minor premiership and the Bulldogs, who lead the competition with 80 minutes of home and away football remaining in 2012. They win, and first spot is theirs as we welcome you to a chilly ANZ Stadium on this first day of spring for the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs and the Sydney Roosters. The final Super Saturday of the year. Greg Alexander, time to run us through the Roosters and how they'll take the field.
Yeah, the Roosters, no changes to their side from the team named during the week. Anthony Minicello at the back, Tuivasa Sheck and Tupou the wingers, Moga and Kenny Dowell in the centres, and Anasta and Pearce are the halves. The pack, Warrior Hargreaves, Friend and Kennedy up front, Guerra, Orbison and Nuasala the back row, and the interchange bench, Seluini, Arona, Takarangi and Cordner.
Isn't there some size there midfield? The final huddle for the Sydney Roosters this campaign as we switch dressing rooms and head into the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. Run us through their 17.
Yeah, Desi Hasler just issuing some final instructions to his team. Ben Barber at the back, Perrott and Wright are the wingers, Morris and Inu in the centres, Reynolds and Keating the halves, and the forward packs, Tolman, Ennis and Cassiano, Pritchard, Jackson and Eastwood the back row for the Bulldogs, and the interchange bench, Graham, Finucane, Payne and Stagg. 12 game winning streaks snapped by their biggest loss of the season last weekend against the Canberra Raiders in Canberra. It's about form tonight and returning to it for the hopeful minor premiers. A chilly night here at ANZ Stadium, feeling the cold. Our very own Mad Dog. A good evening, Adam McDougall.
Good evening, everyone. Could another upset be on the cards tonight? Well, speaking of the Roosters players before the game, they're very relaxed, very excited to send Braith and Anasta out on a winning note. The Bulldogs, on the other hand, well, they've got everything to lose tonight. And I can tell you now, there'll be plenty of bombs raining here tonight. The conditions are fine, but expect plenty of bombs here tonight, guys.
8 wins only in 2012. It's been a disappointing year for the Tricolours, who are led by Braith and Anasta in his 147th and final appearance for the red, blue and whites. But through the negatives, positives in the fact the next generation has arrived. There's some unfamiliar names in this Bulldogs 17 and some very talented youngsters. Emotional night for Braith and Anasta. With the size of some of these youngsters, there is plenty to work with.
Well, he's been outstanding, Braith and Anasta, as you said, Andy. His time as a Rooster will come to an end tonight. 7 years, 7 seasons with the Roosters, and he's been their leader for the last few of those. His 147th game tonight in the Tricolours. He'll move to the West Tigers next year, but has had a huge influence on what the Roosters have done in the most recent seasons.
Minor premiers in the New South Wales Cup and Toyota Cup confirmed. The main prize is on offer now for a footy side that suffered their biggest loss of the year last start. So the JJ Giltinan Shield and a return to form is what this proud club is looking for. And in 2012, has there been much better than this young man, the Dally M favourite, Benny Barber?
Well, I don't think there has been. He is the leading try scorer at the moment with 20 tries next to his name. Has been the most exciting player in the competition, and we've seen so many special moments from him this year. Well, you just come to expect it now, and we'll see what he can provide tonight. He has pulled the Dogs out of some matches in recent times. And Josh Reynolds, what a season it's been for him. A bit of half-back and a bit of hooker last year. But Desi needed to fill that number 6 jumper, and he's done it so well. Has been the spark for the Dogs for most of the season.
Most improved 2012, certainly a candidate. here at ANZ Stadium, moment's silence for the 5 Australian soldiers that sadly lost their lives in Afghanistan earlier this week.
In Afghanistan, please stand for a moment's silence. In memory of our soldiers, thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Little perspective to the families, friends and those affected. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. Our final Super Saturday of 2012. We are live and the clock has started at ANZ Stadium. The Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs coming into the round first, looking for the minor premiership. Their New South Wales Cup and Toyota Cup sides have already claimed that top spot at the end of the home and away series. The equation is a simple one. They win tonight, they're the minor premiers. They lose, and across town the Melbourne Storm defeat the West Tigers, and the Bulldogs will be relegated back to second. Aidan Tolman out the back. It goes from Keating to Barber, and Barber is straight through. Morris on the inside. He finds Morris inside 60 seconds, and the Bulldogs, they have started in style. The Roosters players blowing up deluxe at the referee, saying, go to the video, we've got a problem downfield. But on field, Jared Maxwell and Gavin Badger, they wanted no part of it, Brandy.
Well, you can only imagine that they're complaining about a decoy runner coming through. Tolman out the back to Keating. What a start from the Bulldogs. Well, Frank Pritchard's made contact with Braithen Astor, but it really has no bearing on the play. Barber holds the pass up beautifully there for Morris, who skipped back onto the inside. And after their biggest defeat of the year,
there may have been an issue with Frank Pritchard running the straight line there with Ben Barber moving around behind him, and that's what Braithen Astor, Anthony Minicello and company were unhappy about. Josh Morris, no try in his last 6 games. That'll do the trick. Krisnaninu should have no issues here. Too easy. 6-0 after a long-range try in the opening 40 seconds. It is the Bulldogs 6, the Roosters 0. And Josh Morris now moves into 9th all-time at the Bulldogs, overtaking Eddie Burns and Nigel Vunganer. Most tries ever.
There goes Pritchard there. I think Barber's on the outside of Pritchard. I don't think, and there was minimal contact there, but the depth, and Barber was that far away from Frank Pritchard that really it played no part in the try.
If that movement had been 50 metres downfield, we may very well have had no try there. We've seen obstructions like that called at times over the course of the year. Almost a loss of possession there as Aidan Tolman went short side to Sam Perrott, who plays against his former club for the first time tonight. Look at this for a start for the Bulldogs.
That's a way to blow out the cobwebs after your biggest loss of the year the previous week.
And here we go again to Barber. He splits through. Some good defence. I thought Sean Kenny-Dow was wrong-footed. He came back into the fullback, caught him, as Morris goes to Keating and now finds Pritchard, offloads out the back to Ennis, keeps it going for Josh Reynolds. A short ball there to Josh Jackson. Another of these new faces in blue and white. Ennis short side. And the ball has been called forward. So back we come.
It was a late decision there by Josh Reynolds to cut back down the short side. Michael Ennis didn't have time. He was facing the open side of play by the time he picked the ball up.
All the way back here.
Well, Braithwaite is saying he's been taken out again.
In similar fashion by Frank Pritchard.
Okay, Mitch. Hold it. Hold him on, yep.
One of those calls the Roosters fans watching tonight are saying of course he was taken out, but the Bulldogs fans are asking what Braithwaite's whinging about. First touch of the footy. Almost 5 minutes in for the Tricolours. We've mentioned already the Bulldogs suffered their biggest loss of the season last week. Well, the Roosters with their biggest win of the season last week, 44-20 over the West Tigers. Into the Bulldogs half. Maria Hargreaves. Down low and strong was Michael Ennis. Mitchell Pearce looks to the sideline. Barber grabs it first. Goes centre field, looking for an opening in what was the United line. Test here for the Dogs from their own backfield. This is Perrott. And if their last two sets have been any indication, they'll make their metres tight and hard. Look at that power. A couple of Roosters in the tackle, but still pushing forward, and very nicely was Josh Jackson. Tolman met by a wall of three. And it's to dummy half to Eastwood, and now to Pritchard as the ball in that left hand. Thought about the pass out the back. In fact, it was Cassiano. Down to Keating. And a conservative end to another effective set, Brandy.
Yeah, I don't know whether Keating was aiming for the sideline or not. It just slows things down enough for the Dogs to get themselves set. They haven't had to do much tackling yet. We'll be keeping an eye on the Bulldogs' decoy runners. I'm sure the referees will too, after the amount of complaining from the Roosters.
Roosters from their backfield in what is the 160th meeting between these two clubs, head to head. The Bulldogs are 176, the Roosters 78, and there's been 5 draws. Jake Friend looks right and plays left. He goes to Daniel Tupou, just his 3rd top-grade game. Similar play here from Friend, who was chested by Reynolds. The ball still moved to the right-hand side of the field. And Cello ended up with it. It goes from Anasta to Pearce at second receiver. Takes on Pritchard and he's dumped. Last tackle now, Anasta. Awkward kick off the side of the boot. Taken by Jonathan Wright in 5, and a good first touch for Jonathan after, well, a night he'd rather forget in Canberra last time.
Yeah, he didn't have a happy night down there at Canberra last Saturday, so the first take of the game would be a confidence builder for him.
Pritchard plays Ennis now to Tolman, out the back to Reynolds, looking for Barber, finds him, he goes wider to Krishnaninu, who is met and then dragged back. Strong defence from From the Roosters, and Nasta, the principal in the tackle, along with Tautau Moga. The game's settling into more of a grind after that opening minute try to the favourites, the Bulldogs. Downfield we go. Minicello has played it deep inside his in-goal area. Grabbed by Josh Morris, then driven backwards. Not a big crowd here at ANZ Stadium. A very vocal one and a very blue and white one. I don't know if many have come from the other side of the city.
Some big defence there by the Dogs, still inside their 10. That's tackle 3. Moga trying to do his best to earn his side some precious metres.
Friend off to Frank Paul Nuasala. Beautifully taken around the legs by opposing 13 Greg Eastwood. Nasta wide to Pearce. Wider again to Kenny Dow. In fact, it goes to Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. Back to Kenny Dow, who had an air swing. Ball still in play. And Chris Keating was happy to let the Roosters grab it and restart 10 metres infield.
Yeah, they were happy to try their hand, really. The kick should have been put in. There wasn't much space on the outside. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, nowhere to go. Ended up getting one along the ground to Kenny Dow, who just as he set himself to kick the ball was pulled back by Josh Morris. They'll give the Dogs a great platform to start their set.
They're not going to beat the advantage line here. The entire Roosters line was in front of the referee from the restart.
By yards.
And again. Keating out the back to Pritchard. Tried to get one-on-one with Mitchell Pearce, but Sean Kenny Dow came in from the sideline. And to Josh Morris, Chris Keating, Aidan Tolman out the back to Michael Ennis. And now to Josh Reynolds. It's on here for the Bulldogs. Barber looks to slice through, bounces off one. Pirouettes, continues. Barber. And the ball's still not secure. Finally, it is on the ground. Mid-camp here. And a penalty, the first of the night, to the Bulldogs.
Stay on the line! Stay on the line!
Well, they created the space on the outside with their double-man plays. Moga actually defended that well there. Looked to turn his back, and just as Barber was sliding through the hole, he closed it again, Moga.
Play on because he balked. Tolman, change of play. Bulldogs looking for their second, and they find it. They do so through Josh Jackson. So simple, that 4 points, and they're on their way.
There's a variation to their run-around play. They were close to the line, and it's one that they've had plenty of success at. But this time it was the switch of play down the short side, and Josh Jackson, Tolman back to Reynolds, the second man play out to Jackson. And Barber was the decoy runner. And Jackson just able to skip on the outside of Moga and squeeze in between him and Daniel Tupou. And the Bulldogs off the back of their first penalty of the match are able to cross for their second try, and his second try of his career.
Average defence on that left side from the Roosters, but rather talk about the positives in this young guy. Product of the system at Canterbury Bankstown, came through the 20s along with guys like Dale
Just going to talk quickly about obviously coming here tonight thinking that the Roosters could cause an upset, thinking that they're going to play.
On the 13-minute mark, Inu, the former Eel, the former Warrior, from the sideline. There it is. He's a cool dude. Coming back. Wonderful from Krishnaninu from the sideline. A dozen. 12-0 to the Bulldogs, Adam McDougall.
I was coming here tonight to the game, I didn't really know what to expect from the Roosters. Part of me was hoping they were going to turn up tonight, throw the ball around, take the chances. However, they've turned up a bit flat at the moment, and their Bulldogs, they look like they're in red hot form.
Almost in time with the clock. A restart from Anasta to Barber, who looks left. No one was there. Looks right. No one was there, and he tossed it to Aidan Tolman and said, "Do your best, big fella." Good contact there. Aggression from the Roosters. The aggression hasn't been the Roosters' issue. It's been the read and the decision-making. Cassiano, a flat ball. As Greg Alexander shakes his head from Greg Eastwood. Here they go again. Josh Morris over halfway. And a question mark over two passes within the movement. Ennis to Eastwood, to Cassiano. Cassiano still going. Who's going to stop this big fella? It ends up somehow with Aidan Tolman. Last tackle here. 2 tries already. Reynolds, a kick too deep. And taken easily by Daniel Tupou.
There was some classic play there involving Greg Eastwood on both plays, back to back. First he put Josh Morris into space, then he put Sam Cassiano into a hole. Both right to the line and delivered perfect footballs, the Kiwi.
There's some ball players in blue and white, isn't there? There's some genuine power and kilos, but there's some ball players in this football side. Here is Augustin. One of a number of back rowers used by Brian Smith over the course of the year. Mitchell Pearce cramps across field to link with another of those in Aiden Guerra. The friend and on to Anasta. Trying to trap Barber down in that 10 by 10 metre box in his backfield into the corner, and he achieves his goal.
Well, you've got to try and make it as difficult as possible. Sometimes that hasn't worked out. Sides have kicked into the corner and Barber's been able to shred them with his speed and his footwork.
Sam Cassiano getting an early rest after a couple of big runs and metre gains in that last set. And English international James Graham comes onto the field. Inu on tackle number 4. Here is Tolman to the man teammates think is Tolman's twin brother, Graham. At the back it goes to Reynolds. Making Minicello move to his left. He does so easily and quickly. Takes it on bounce number 1 and heads back towards centre field. Playing out to this right-hand side and to Sean Kenny-Dow. Powerful Kiwi centre. Here is the halfback doing the work from dummy half. For so long it has been the trait of Roosters teams that the 2 wingers and the 2 centres take the early set carries. He goes wide to Pearce, tries to get the ball around the outside of the defender. It was Inu who had come in. Short side here, trying to get the numbers. Ball to ground and 6 more. Is the call, the 0 tackle.
Well, they tried their arm down that short side there. Good defence from the Bulldogs. It was Sam Perrott, the man that came off his wing and shut things down. It forced the ball loose, but fortunately the Roosters get another 6.
Big Marty Kennedy. Tackled on the 20-metre line. Playing it wide to Boyd Cordner, who's on the field in 17 and getting a rest. Frank Paul Nuasala. Rhea Hargreaves, the recipient of a short ball just off the left hip of Jake Friend. Tackle number 4, playing it to the left. Good ball from Pearce to Gordon at the back. And Roger Tuivasa-Sheck.
All good, mate. Yep.
In fact, it was Tautau Moga out the back. 12-4.
Well, it was a real speculator from Guerra, but it found the mark. The Roosters getting a call, a 6 to go call, down the short side. There's Perrott making the tackle. The referee's deeming he got enough on that ball to give the Roosters another set. Low tackle there by Reynolds. And it was a bit better than a speculator. It looked like he threw it over the back of his shoulder as it happened live, but he knew his man was unmarked, Moga, and just had to get it to him. It needed a classy pass, and it certainly was that.
It's now 7 tries in 14 games for a young man with a ton of pressure on him because he was labelled superstar before he'd even run onto an NRL field. Nasta just goes wide, so it remains the Bulldogs 12, the Roosters 4. And as we approach the 20-minute mark, Adam.
I'm sure that a lot of the top 8 teams tonight would be watching this game, and they'd take great note of the fact that Christian Inu then flew up past the inside defender there, allowing the Roosters to get in behind him and create a try. That's something that last week Canberra tried to exploit, and I'm sure in the coming weeks and tonight teams will continue to do so.
It was certainly something the Raiders had success with on the Bulldogs' left-hand side last week, and it was the Bulldogs' right-hand side this week, and just minutes ago that gave the Roosters their first points.
Slow, mate, that's a bit slow.
Such an important set here as Kennedy muscles his way forward under the weight of James Graham and also Greg Eastwood. In a cello trap, but not without a fight. The decoy there was Kennedy, did a good job and allowed Cordner a few extra metres. Back to Friend and on to Pearce. The ball not knocked on. According to the referees, and you can hear the reaction from the Bulldogs fans around ANZ Stadium.
It might have been a tough call against the Dogs there.
Compounded here.
Mix behind it.
Let the tackle count the penalty.
What about the 6? What about the 6 to go call?
Well, I won't argue with the 6 to go call, but I thought Mitchell Pearce knocked that ball on there.
Use the line, fellas. Use the line and hold.
Yep, I agree.
Hold.
Rhea Hargreaves had a look at offloading the ball there, decided against it, tackled just 12 metres out from the line. They already have one, looking for their second as Kennedy bumps off Ennis into Tolman and has dropped, floored just 2 metres out from the try line.
2 in a row. Yeah, no, not at all. Not trying to get out at all. On the line.
Aidan Tolman
On the line.
involved in the tackle there, slowing things down.
Hold.
And again, Rhea Hargreaves asked to put up his hand. He does so.
Out, right, go, release.
Pressure remains on the Bulldogs. Kennedy to the line. Again, the Dogs with numbers. Numbers centre field. They're stretched this side, and an opportunity exists. Pearce went wide. Perrott was able to get his hands to it. Wasn't able to stop the movement, but did enough to pause it anyway.
Well, we just spoke about the edges being exposed by the Canberra Raiders last week. The Bulldogs' edges, their extreme edges, the short kicking game was very successful against them. They were just able to get their hands on that one.
On and behind, mate. On and behind.
Tackles now stacking up against the Dogs, who had all the possession in the opening 5 minutes, but repeat sets. We're into double figures in this current run. David Stagg onto the field. Replacement for Greg Eastwood. Up the back to Aidan Guerra, who set up that opening try to Tautau Moga. Pearce again at second receiver tonight. Plays on the inside to Boyd Cordner. An easy target he was for the props, Graham and Tolman. Short ball to Orbison. It was a beauty from Pearce. Counting up on this near side. Pearce with the grubber through. The pick up there or a knock on from the Roosters.
Tackle. Just check if it's grounded by Bulldogs or Roosters here.
Well, he just dribbled it through the defensive line, Mitchell Pearce. It looked like contact was made right on the try line. It was hard to see whether he pushed the ball forward or he just put his hands on it. Sean Kenny Dow. Pearce rushed as the Dogs' defence comes up.
Tick that box, everyone onside.
It's Minicello coming through on the inside. Who touches it? Does Morris get it in goal?
Who gets it? Morris or Minicello?
Morris misses. Minicello scores.
A try to Anthony Minicello, the veteran fullback, who's had some highlights and some moments he would rather forget so far. In 2012, this is ninth for the year. Some
sustained pressure, the repeat set. Mitchell Pearce just getting it through the legs of Chris Keating, his opposition number 7. The outstretched hands of Josh Morris just not finding the ball. Minicello all over it.
And Astor with the extras. So after dominating early, the Dogs are under pressure. It is 12-10. The difference only the goal kicking.
Well, they played with very little ball in the last 5 minutes, and the Roosters have been able to make the most of the possession swing. 6 to go call, a couple of penalties, a repeat set.
Big restart here from Inu, almost too big. And the Roosters have fluffed it.
Forward pass. Goal line drop out.
A forward pass call, goal line drop out.
And the man that's made a mess of it is their most experienced player, Anthony Minicello. He should have been standing right there. He should have put a foot over the dead ball line. That would have made a restart on halfway for the Roosters.
Stay on. Stay on, right, mate. On the behind, mate.
Said by so many coaches every week, every year.
An uncharacteristic error from that man, Minicello.
Oh, heavy contact there on James Graham.
Hold it. Get quicker.
Reynolds to Tolman. Hayden again has been busy. Tops the tackle count. 20 tackles in 26 minutes for Hayden Tolman. He also leads the hit-up count with 7. Ball went backwards in that exchange. Mid-count here. Tolman to Graham. To Ennis. To Pritchard as the lead runner there. Out the back to Ennis. Now on to David Stagg. Not content just to tuck it under the arm and settle things down. James Graham goes straight. Looking for Barber, his right-hand side, playing out the back. They go from Reynolds to that very man in Ben Barber. Krisnan Inu. Inu is over, but is the ball down?
On tackle 5.
The answer to that is no.
Yeah, I think he's got it on the lap of Daniel Tupou. He couldn't find the ground with it.
Chris.
One tackle left for the Dogs.
On the line, Chris. Marker.
So back we come, 10 metres for the final play. Out the back to the left foot of Chris Keating. Not played at. Picked up by the Roosters and an Astor. Now to Taumoga.
Penalty.
And the ball's come free. The Dogs have crossed the line, but the whistle is gone. And it's a Roosters penalty.
We'll call it 2, mate.
Well, 2 men in the tackle, and they've called a strip on the Bulldogs. Not a great kick there from Chris Keating. Mitchell Pearce gets on with it. Keating undecided which sort of kick he was going to put in. Here's the tackle and the resulting penalty. Well, Josh Jackson just pulled it out of his hands before another dog got involved in that.
Absolutely.
Another harsh one.
3-1 the penalty count to the Roosters, who are now back in Bulldogs territory through Jared Warrior-Hargreaves. Jake Friend goes to Mitchell Pearce, who's dumped there. And Josh Reynolds being penalised for this.
I call it.
Josh Reynolds.
Yeah, just dangerous.
Josh Reynolds.
Just dangerous.
There, mate.
Dangerous or not? What do you think?
Yeah, I realise that.
Just.
And from a controversial call at one end of the park, the Bulldogs are now on their heels, under pressure at the other end of the park. Just a 2-point gap. Warrior-Hargreaves backing his way towards the line. It takes 4 to stop him. Dogs you can see, you can hear them counting numbers. Friend. Use the outside runners as the decoys, and he's not finished yet.
From the line, hold that.
Roosters number 9, out the back to Pearce, and on to Anasta. Short ball, Orbison, again beautifully read from the inside. Tackle number 4, Pearce in control of the ball, Grubber through. Barber takes control, forced back in goal. And another repeat set for the Roosters.
All right.
They're in a fight, the Dogs.
Well, they marched up the field, the Roosters. Nice kick into the in-goal again. The chase there to make the tackle on Ben Barber. Some
Yeah, that could have happened.
good goal line defence, particularly on the left side from Chris Keating and Josh Morris.
I think Mike Lennis still asking questions about the decision at the other end of the park. They got a bit on that dropout from Inu. It was 55 on the fly, and all that meant for the Dogs forwards is that Warrior-Hargreaves had a little bit more room to wind him up, and he did just that.
Off the ball, here, hold.
This is Kennedy, hit up number 12 for his evening as Cordner straightens and gets to within 13 metres. He steps off the right, flicks it out the back to Friend, on to Cordner. Ran out of options, still bumping off Bulldogs. Not settled yet, not grounded yet. Tackle number 4.
Hold from the line.
Going short side. And Kenny Down has spilt it. Well done, Canterbury Bankstown. A lot of pressure in this last 10 minutes.
Well, they got there in numbers, and I'm sure they've seen this if they watched a highlights tape of the Roosters where Kenny Dow starts on the outside and cuts back to the inside. They're hoping to drag one of the Dogs' defenders a bit wider with Mitch Orbison, and Chris Keating, who we'd only just given a rap to for his goal line defence in the previous set, comes up with a very important tackle and one good enough to force the ball loose from Kenny Dow.
Heads in. Lock him in, Ben. Wait. Lock him in, Anthony. Stay with us. Give me, yep. Put your head in, Michael. Out. Yes.
Inside the final 10 minutes of the opening half. They raced to a 12-0 lead, did the Bulldogs. But since that second try, it has been all the Roosters who came into tonight in 13th place on the NRL ladder with just 8 wins, a draw, and 14 losses.
The work of their front row has been enormous. Kennedy and Warrior-Hargreaves.
Reynolds out the back, Inu, Barber all involved. It ends up in the hands of Sam Perrott. Not the fastest winger you'll see in the NRL, but certainly on the podium for one of the safest as Inu runs out of dummy half, milks the penalty, and has a couple of words with the young gun. Penalty here, the count now 4-2 against the Dogs. Grubber into touch from Michael Ennis.
Don't see many of those.
That could be a season first. It could be a season last as well. Here's Barber. Parrott steps back in to avoid the sideline and takes the ball to ground. Good ball movement here from the Dogs. Keating to Pritchard. In front, Pritchard. He winds them up and proves unstoppable. The Dogs scored their third. They stretch their lead. It is 16 points to 10. And still a kick to come.
They don't muck around, the Dogs, do they? And they ask that many questions. Down the short side, off the tap. They made some good meters, and then the big play to the left, and Frank Pritchard just had them going backwards enough. They get off their line, the Roosters, then they start shuffling sideways, and they even start going backwards now. Kenny, Dowell and Pearce just not big enough to stop Pritchard as he comes towards them. They love those big shifts. Pritchard has had a very consistent year.
He is a giant. It's almost unfair that anyone should have to front him one-on-one. As you of all people, my little Panther buddy, would know, Frankie has his good and his bad days. When he's on...
Not this year, but
no?
This year, as I just said, he has been consistent. And while he hasn't had those games where he's torn teams apart, there's been some good in just about every game Pritchard's played for the Dogs this year. He's played his role, which Des Hasler has got the whole team doing.
And very, very well. From 25 metres back, 10 metres in from touch. It's coming back. And he maintains his 100% record with the boot tonight. 3 from 3 for Krisnan. It is the Bulldogs 18, leading the Roosters 10. A brief snapshot of the Bulldogs this year. They score 20 points, they win. They score less than 20 points and they lose. And that's that simple for them. They are almost to that magical number as we close in on half-time. 17 wins in 17 games when they've scored 20 or more. Ball free. The ball was stripped. And a penalty.
Well, Nu'uausala back on the field and penalised early in it in his second stint.
Conservative touch finder there. The restart just a couple of metres short of halfway. And that is a very easy 11 or 12 metres one up from Josh Morris. And again, another 10 from David Stagg.
Let's get out of there! Easy!
James Graham, back to Josh Reynolds, and now in the hands of Ben Barber. Now Krisnan Inu. Every time Barber gets the ball, everyone at ANZ Stadium, they shuffle forward on their seat a little further.
Yep.
Parrott darts out of dummy half against his former club. Another mid-season transfer. Cassiano backs it in, flicks it up, and almost a try for the Dogs. Jackson denied. Last tackle, Keating. Back across the ruck. And taken, secured, and stopped by Daniel Tupou.
He must have been tempted to let that one go, although it did pop up. When it came off the foot of Reynolds, it looked way too big.
A bit slow.
It would make the dead ball line quite easily, though he got a foot, well, a bounce that he would have liked, forcing Tupou to make a play at it. See what the Dogs can finish off with.
Probably 2 chances with the football, but only 1 full set for the Bulldogs before half-time, with 2.5 minutes remaining until they head to the dressing rooms. James Graham settles and straightens as well, taken nicely by the youngster Cordner. Now from Reynolds to Cassiano, carrying free.
Still got it, still got it. No, he's
Persistence by Aiden Guerra. Ennis. Winu crossing the ruck. Now to Barber, out the back to Keating. And a grabber ahead. We're in goal again. Minicello forced to play at it. Another repeat set. The Roosters not off the hook just yet.
No, they'll get another set out, but a kick before fifth tackle really should only occur when there's a try-scoring opportunity. I don't think the try was on. Minicello had that one well covered. So a strange option there from Chris Keating. And Asta taking all of the time available.
You keep it up.
Just under 90 seconds remaining. James Graham, as he has done so many times in his first year of NRL footy, puts his hand up and says, "Give it to me." Slow play the ball, the Englishman a little tender. Reynolds steps into the line, flicks it out the back to Ennis, and now on to Cassiano, who looks not to go through his man, but looks to get on the outside of Braithen Asta. Short side, in it. Quick hands it was from Ennis. It goes back to the skipper. He finally links with Chris Keating. Now Ben Barber on to Josh Morris. Tries to push off Sean Kenny-Dow, but the troops come in to assist. They will see this set out before the siren sounds. Graham centre field. And the Roosters short on numbers on both fringes. Set play on here, Reynolds using Barber as the decoy. Jackson to the line and denied.
Hold up, on 5.
He was able to shake free of Braithen Asta tackle, but they'll get one more just before the half-time hooter blows.
Last play, Reynolds looking for someone, anyone, but he finds a Rooster. And the siren sounds. 5 tries in the opening 40 minutes. 3 of them to the Dogs, 2 to the Roosters. At half-time, it is Canterbury 18, the Sydney Roosters 10. Hope you're enjoying all the action on our final Super Saturday of 2012. After the break, we'll take a look at all the first half highlights here from ANZ Stadium. The 160th meeting between these two very proud clubs, and tonight the minor premiership is on the line for the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, who got away to the most amazing start, but they haven't had things their own way, Greg Alexander.
No, because the Roosters have been good in what they've done. They've made a couple of errors, given away, made a couple of mistakes, which have been extremely costly, but they hit the Roosters right between the eyes, the Bulldogs, right in the opening minute of the match. And after a big loss last week to Canberra, they would have been looking for a good start, but I guess no one thought the start would have happened that quick in the first minute. But the Roosters are certainly in this one. I think the work of their front rowers has been enormous. It really has had the Dogs on the back foot and created some room for their halves.
The Bulldogs have been in the grind. They've also played some spectacular footy, and it started in the opening minutes as we take a look at the Bundaberg first half highlights. And if you were late settling into the lounge, you would have missed the opener. 40 seconds.
Yeah, no side has scored more tries from the other side of halfway more than the Dogs. So they opened up with an absolute beauty. Second man plays. There was a lot of complaints from the Roosters about the contact made. Just there you saw Frank Pritchard and Braithen Asta come together. But Ben Barber sweeping around the back, picked up Josh Morris back on the inside. and it was a hot start from the Roosters. There's Braith Anasta having words with Jared Maxwell, and then it was the Dogs again, a variation on their run-around play down the short side, and Josh Jackson squeezing in between two defenders, Moga and Tupou, to cross for his second try this year.
He just wanted it more there, Josh Jackson. It was his desperation. A nice short ball from Pearce, an even better ball from Guerra. And Tau Moga scored his 7th of the season.
During this period of the game, the Dogs played with very little football, and the Roosters continually, with 6 to go, calls some penalties, some very good short kicking game. Repeat sets from Mitchell Pearce were able to keep the Dogs under pressure and come up with a couple of tries, but then the Dogs finished things off in that first half with Pritchard just rampaging close to the line and hard to hold.
Yeah, 2 tries in 5 minutes for the Roosters. It was 12 points to 10, but this one proved the difference for an 8-point half-time lead, and it could well have been more. In fact, 2 held-up tries for the Bulldogs, Pritchard, Jackson and Morrison. Inu has been perfect with the boot. For the Roosters, Minicello and Moga, the try scorers, Anasta at 50%. Des Hasler, would he be happy with the style of play that he's seen in the opening 40?
Yeah, look, I think he'd be pretty happy from their bounce back from what they offered last week against the Canberra Raiders. They're out to win this football game. The Roosters certainly have come here to play and to try and spoil whatever the Dogs are trying to achieve tonight. Desi Hasler would be happy. I think Brian Smith would be relatively pleased with what he's seen from his side. They've shown that they can crack the Dogs if they can sustain some pressure on their line. Mitchell Pearce's short kicking game has created some of that pressure. On the other hand, so has Josh Reynolds at the other end of the field.
Brian Smith there, the old school teacher in him there. He's got the whiteboard up as we take a look at the odds. The tab, $1.07 the Dogs, $9 Roosters fans. You're only trailing by 8, and a line of 16.5. If some of the Alexander money was going up tonight, where would it be?
Well, I wouldn't back a team that short, but gee whiz, I'd like to have something on $9 and see the Roosters score the first try, which I think they do have to do. They have to come out and open up proceedings, and if they can grab a try early, well, it just might put some pressure on the Dogs.
A massive weekend of rugby league on Australia's sports leader Fox Sports, and of course it finishes tomorrow night. There's no Monday night footy, but there's Sunday night footy. The Parramatta Eels, the St George Illawarra Dragons. The pre-game show commences at 6 p.m. Kick-off at 6:30 as we, the rugby league community, say goodbye to Dean Young, Ben Hornby, Luke Burt and Nathan Hindmarsh. It is followed by NRL Extra that wraps up for 2012 right after tomorrow night's game. Matty Gordy and the boys will have all the action from the final home and away round of the season. Lara Pitt will be there with all the news. There'll be exclusive post-match interviews with the 4 retiring legends from tomorrow night's game. That's the final NRL Extra, 8:20 Sunday night, but Matty Gordy will be back for the final special NRL Insight, Mondays 7:30 p.m. during the finals. Insight will bring you in-depth analysis and all the big talking points as the race for the premiership concludes. NRL Insight, 7:30 p.m. Mondays during the finals series. The Bulldogs, 3 tries to 2, 18 points to 10 and in control. They are 40 minutes away from the minor premiership. Can they do it? Stick around on Fox Sports.
Better.
Fox Sports 3 bringing you live action from ANZ Stadium. Minor premiership on the line. The Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs and the Sydney Roosters. An 8-point game. It is the Dogs 18, the Roosters 10 at half-time. On Tuesday night, the Dally M Awards for 2012 from the Town Hall in Sydney, hosted by Ryan Phelan and Matt Russell. Live at 8:30 p.m. Fox Sports 2 and 2 HD as we go sideline for a halftime report with Adam McDougall.
Hi guys, Brian Smith was very pumped up at half-time. He was telling his players to go out there and have no regrets. The last 40 minutes of their season, can they turn things around? They need to start well, otherwise the Bulldogs will secure their first minor premiership since 1994. The Bulldogs players are certainly pumped up, and it's going to be a cracking second half.
There's been some standouts in this Donks side in the opening 40 minutes. And again, one of the young heroes and a try scorer tonight in Josh Jackson.
He's only playing his 9th first grade game, Josh Jackson, of course. Built up from the under-20s. Been outstanding in his time in the top grade.
Real good.
$18 points to 10 in favour of the Bulldogs. 40 minutes away from the minor premiership. And the Roosters with the first chance at the football through Frank Paul Nuasala.
We'll go. You got your foot to it. Yeah.
Once again, the equation a simple one. The Bulldogs win tonight. The minor premiership is theirs. Lose, and it's up for grabs.
Hold, Sam. Hold. Chris.
Jake Friend takes it out to Lloyd Cordner on that far side of the field.
Got it. Go. Play on.
Hall will play the ball, allowed to play on as Mitchell Pearce travels across the field. Threatened to link up with Mitchell Orbison. He didn't. Took the ball to the line, and as a result, the first choice kicker here is Braithen Astor. Back to Jonathan Wright, who I thought may have come under a little bit more scrutiny tonight. Big numbers in that opening half. They went to Aidan Tolman, who's on the bench at the moment. 8 hit-ups, 25 tackles for the front rower. Out to David Stagg. Josh Reynolds, and now to Sam Perrott, who was playing on the inside of Krisnan Inu with the centre playing right wing there. To Cassiano, pops it over the top to James Graham, on to Frank Pritchard, filters it back to Reynolds, now to Barber, Ben Barber tosses it out the back to Chris Keating. That is one of the tries of the year. The Bulldogs, as they did the opening half, they start the second with plenty of show.
Well, we spoke about the Roosters front row and how effective they had been in the opening half. We failed to mention how good this man had been. Sam Cassiano, what a handful he has been. He offloads it to James Graham. Great pass there. Pritchard looking for support. Finds it in Reynolds. Barber brushes away or almost beats Minicello, but still able to get the pass away. And Keating just holds the ball up long enough. Great ball there. And James Graham.
Picture yourself being Anthony Minicello and seeing Pritchard running for you.
Yeah, arguably the buy of the year, James Graham. And then as he swung around by Minicello, Ben Barber still able to pop the ball there to Chris Keating, who had a man unmarked on the outside, but just held it up and was able to slide across the in-goal area on his own.
21st try from inside their own half this season. 6 more than any other side. Inu 3 from 3 tonight, so who are we to second guess, but he's brought this one back a long way. Decreasing the angle, so he's got confidence that the boot's big enough. No issues. 4 from 4 for Inu tonight. His smile is retained. It is the Bulldogs 24, the Roosters 10. Still with plenty of football left.
Well, it took them a little bit longer than it did in the opening half to get across the line. They've blown the lead out now to 14.
Barber takes the ball on the full and hands it off to James Graham, into double figures now as far as hit-ups are concerned, and draws level with Josh Jackson on that number as leaders for the Dogs.
2! Up, Aiden! All the way! Hold! Go!
Big shot there.
Hold! 3!
was put on David Stagg, but some muscle from the Roosters. Jackson tackled right on the 40-metre line. Interchange of passing between the front rowers. Cassiano to Graham, who lost his footing right on halfway. Ennis plays for the penalty, doesn't get it, so he pumps it over the top, taking it on the full Daniel Tupou in just his third game. Met by 4, and Ennis taken late. It's the chorus of boos you could hear from the Bulldogs fans.
Yeah, he copped a heavy shot there, Michael. And so I don't know whether it was late or whether he copped it as he kicked the football. He was taking his time to get back into the defensive line.
Off!
Good run from Tuivasa Sheck there. Some footwork to beat a couple of Bulldogs players. Good metres.
Gordner again. Taken by Cassiano and also Stagg as Pearce looks to put the pressure on Ben Barber, who offloads immediately to the much bigger Jonathan Wright to carry it forward. He does so to the 10-metre line. Josh Morris scored his first try in 7 games earlier this evening, his 17th for the year. Bulldogs players calling for the penalty, and a little bit of feeling is starting to creep into this. Bulldogs can't afford it. Reynolds pumps it towards the sideline from inside the 40. Taken by Minicello on the bounce. Shot put on by Reynolds over the top. Came the support in the form of Graham. Heavy contact on this near side of the field. Initially it was Tupou and then Moga, just darting out of dummy half. The 15 is Arona. Back into Bulldogs territory they go, but they're more than 2 converted tries behind the competition leaders. Nasta wide to Pearce on the final play. He pumps it into the air. Right, calmly at the back, evades 1 and a second, then meets the kicker in Pearce.
Well, he hasn't been tested that much, but the couple of times he has, Jonathan Wright has been up to the task. He'll be making him and coach Des Hasler feel better after last week's efforts.
Playing expansive again through Jackson. Brushes off another youngster in Moga. Cassiano's involvement has been top shelf tonight. So too the impact, and he gets it away, but Barber knocks it forward.
Knock on, Bulldogs.
He didn't believe it was coming, but it did.
Knock on, Tim.
Bravehearts. Referees in special jerseys tonight.
Find him in.
Statistically, 1 in 5 children will be sexually assaulted by the age of 18. The Bravehearts help educate the community and build awareness. To support this cause, visit whiteballoonday.com.au.
Find him in. Wait, 2 hands. Mitch, fight him. Yours.
Playing short side here. They do so through Tupou. Driven backwards. That's strong stuff from the Dogs. We're testing the referees there who were yelling at the defenders the call of hell. Both starting props for Brian Smith off the field at the moment in Maria Hargreaves and also Kennedy. And the guys like Nuasala, ball player there. And this man, Tinarau Arona, forced to do the heavy stuff, centre field. Too slow there, David Stagg and Sam Cassiano. The penalty is awarded to the Tricolours. Emotional night for Braith and Astor. His final for the Roosters after joining them in 2006 from the Dogs. And ironically, when he was playing for the Dogs, his final game for that club was against the Roosters. From Nuasala on to Arona. Tinarau is secured just 3 metres out from the line. Friend to Pearce and a short ball. It is whacked. Josh Reynolds. He was the man responsible, and the back rower is feeling the pain. Nuasala gets the short ball free, but Stagg and Pritchard put a halt to that movement. This Cordner again. They play short to Arona. Crowd thought it was forward. The referees called it flat as it goes to Anasta and over the top. Beautifully taken by Jonathan Wright. And if he gets back to the 20 quickly, the Roosters could be in all sorts. Tap and go. And 11 metres there for the left winger, who is now on the right side of the field.
Well, Guerra was about the only Rooster that was able to get back on side, and he was the player that he ran to. Nice ball into.
Beautiful from Inu to Perrott. Brushes away from one. Oh, and then bounces into Braith and Astor, a late arriving defender. Cross to Tolman and Ennis. Pearce coming in for the big shoulder. Double knock-on is going to be the ruling here, but there was an intercept in that pass all day long.
There was. Michael Ennis was rushed by Mitchell Pearce there. He was able to bounce off the shoulder charge. Pearce attempted. Then he throws a long ball, but Kenny Dow standing there waiting for it. He couldn't handle it. The Roosters' first knock-on.
Yeah, the double knock-on. Roosters first. So a Bulldogs scrum feed and ultimately possession.
Anthony, stay in the scrum, mate.
Anthony Minicello and Ben Barber at lock. 2 fullbacks packing in. Go figure.
Good.
And back we come.
All the way in there. All the way in there.
Well, Benny Barber may not have a pack down at lock. He mightn't understand the scrummaging laws. Goes here. Out to Josh Jackson. Runs chest on chest into another young superstar of the future in Cordner. Out to Morris. Almost around his man in Kenny Dow. 2 big, strong centres going toe-to-toe. Pritchard steps and creates a little bit of space centre field. Now to David Stagg. Reynolds spits it out the back, and Barber is in control. Another run around. Stagg to Ennis. They continue the ball movement. And somehow it ends up with the Roosters, but then it gets stolen by Josh Morris. So the Bulldogs, they are back in control. And settling things down finally. One of the front rowers. Last tackle's been called. Reynolds kicks it back infield, looking for Ben Barber. Who else?
I'm not going to back against him. I'm not going to back against him in these sort of situations. Benny Barber, the ball might have beaten him across the line. It didn't sit up exactly how Reynolds wanted it to. He drifts across the field, then hooks it back across and behind the ruck. Barber's onside. The Roosters can only watch. He's going to get there easy. He's going to get there easy, Benny Barber.
Superstar. He was a freak at under 20 level, but there were questions about his defence. And this young kid has been one of the truly great stories of 2012, and that story may not be over just yet.
Well, he's changed the thinking on his defence, and his all-round game has improved out of sight in 2012. He could do this sort of stuff last year. He's a much better fullback this season than he was last year. And it still maintains that brilliance and that ability to do the special things that not many players can. Credit to the kick too from Josh Reynolds. Not an easy one as he was running towards a sideline and hooking it back against the momentum of his body.
Inu from right in front. He's kicked the difficult ones with ease tonight. Isn't he striking them well? That goes 14 rows back. 30 points to 10. The Bulldogs in control, Mad Dog.
They certainly are, and how good is Benny Barber? All his teammates on the bench knew as soon as that kick went up that he'd scored that try because he's that good. He's a pleasure to watch, and I tell you what, guys, he's going to be a threat to any team they play in the semi-finals.
Short restart from the Roosters and taken by Martin Kennedy, of all people, the unlikely recipient of the ball. They've got nothing to lose with 25 remaining. The boys from Bondi. In fact, both Kennedy and Ria Hargreaves back onto the field. Here is Jared. Nicely taken by Ennis. Such a good low tackle of the Bulldogs skipper. The back from Cordner. The through Cordner to Orbison. Bulldogs defending after scoring the last minute. Cello already has one tonight. Gets within a couple of metres of his second. Last play here. They trail by 20. And Nasta! It goes straight to Sam Perrott. Maybe Brink heard an old familiar call.
Well, they like to get off their line and jam in the Bulldogs defenders out wide. Inu loses the ball. And that time, Perrott had parked himself in the Roosters attacking line.
Restart of the tackle count. Reynolds. Wasn't sure where Josh would play out 2012 with both Chris Keating and Trent Hodkinson at the club, and seemingly the favourites for the 6 and 7 in the early rounds. He took the most of his opportunities and is a staple in this side in 6.
With his handful of games last year, he's not up for any Rookie of the Year awards, but you've got to say that he would be the best regular first grader, the best newcomer to the game, if there was an award for that.
Cello takes it on the full, the Keating kick. Hunting and hard. There's Josh Jackson, who got pinged there for a second go. He says garbage. And the man with the whistle wins the argument.
Well, something that the Dogs are used to, and that's being on the wrong end of the penalty count, which is 6-3 at the moment. It did hurt them in the first half and gave the Roosters plenty of time on their line.
Hold it.
There was the leg pull and the reason for it.
Marty Kennedy lost his footing just as he got to the defensive line. And he's in all sorts. I think Marty might have copped a stray one here.
He doesn't know where he is.
We've got a doctor on him, mate. Hang on.
Yeah, he's not there.
What question are they asking here? Who are you and where are you? He's answering everything so far so well.
Well, he just slipped into the knee or the leg of one of the Bulldogs players.
Stumbled when he got up again.
Just copped a knee there, and that was it.
Accidental knee.
From Josh Jackson.
When he asks the question, tell him he's Arthur Beetson, slap him on the backside and tell him to get back out there. Cordner. Oh, the ball's come free there. Poor awareness around the ball.
Michael, walk away.
Ennis and Cordner have a little bit of a push and a shove and a few words. Oh, there's some feeling, and launching was Cordner at David Stagg. Barber trying to split the Roosters line there. Michael Ennis has got to be really careful here. The Roosters aren't playing semi-finals football. The Bulldogs are.
You're not needed. Michael, it's in your face. There's nothing in it, mate. There's nothing in it.
Okay, is there an issue here?
Well, let's have a look.
Look, he went on with the tackle. Big Jared. There's a fine line there.
That's 3. Boys. Hang on, buds. Yeah.
There's a lot of talking going on. Not much in it.
Okay, mate, we'll all come down, all right? We all good? All right, tackle 3. On your whistle.
Video referee agreed. Let's get on with it.
And it ends in a smile.
Well, the Roosters were 3 yards offside them. Gavin Badger's attempt to keep these sides apart.
Corey Payne on the field in 16 as the ball goes to Josh Morris. Looks on his outside to Jonathan Wright. He goes into touch.
I'm surprised he threw that pass then, Josh Morris. He must have realised that his winger was that close to the sideline. He himself was almost over the sideline. He still threw the pass. Just got on the outside of Sean Kenny Dow, just enough. I think, well, he was standing out when he received the ball there, Jonathan Wright.
Now, as they pack the scrum here, off camera in back play, Jared Warrior-Hargreaves just went up to Ben Barber and gave him a tap on the head, a cuddle, and said, "I'm sorry." I'm quite sure that's what he said anyway, unless he just fancied a cuddle. As the Roosters drop the footy. Second half completions now 6 from 10 for Brian Smith's men. They've got worst ball control of any side this year, completing less than 70% of their sets on average. The only side under 70%. Centre field, Ennis, back to Reynolds, over the top, jumps from the field of play in goal. And the Dogs defenders there in numbers to ensure a repeat set.
Well, I'm sure none of the outside backs from the Dogs knew that that kick was on. They were deep and ready for a pass. They got lucky that the fact that...
Quick restart from the Roosters. Good thinking, Braithen Astor. Good execution, Braithen Astor, and also Brad Takarangi. So what should have been a repeat set ends up with Sydney Roosters side with the football. Kenny Dow monstered in the tackle by Corey Payne and also Dale Finucane. Gordon has been swapped from starting minute to interchange forward at different times throughout the year. His performance tonight has been a good and again. As Pearce slips and back to Anasta, on to Moga. Nowhere really going, so he heads centre field, tries to put the footwork on, couldn't get by Payne and Ennis. Pearce, over the top, Minicello, v. Barber, and now a little bit of open space. He's lassoed by Orbison. Playing short side footy here are the Dogs. Ball spat out the back. And tackle number 2, they lost the best part of 14 metres. That little flick out the back. Jonathan Wright settling things down.
Let's get on. Hold.
It was a comfortable reaction, wasn't it, from Ben Barber in a high-pressure situation with that ball almost sitting up there for Anthony Minicello.
Let him go. Last tackle.
Playing short side. Kick from Reynolds, very well weighted. Test from Minicello, who gets back into the field of play. But look at that Bulldogs line. 9 out of the 13 were down there as one, ensuring the Roosters weren't going anywhere. Tuivasa Sheck with some good metres down the middle of the field. Big whack on Pearce. Somehow he gets the ball free to Anasta. Continues it on to Cordner. Fell awkwardly just over the 40-metre line. Gets up holding a left knee. This is now Orbison. Orbison carries Chris Keating and also Aidan Tolman with him a few metres. Oh, there's one of the uglier moments of the season.
Yes, Eluini just onto the field. Not reading things there. Warrior Hargreaves, I guess, thought he was going to be a decoy runner. No.
Between Michael Ennis and Josh Reynolds, it probably reminded Jared just how bad that looked on the big screen. Looking for a 2-on-1 on the short side. Morris and Wright were trying to do a tag team number on Roger Tuivasa Sheck, but Mitchell Pearce came from the scrum onto the short side and helped defensively.
Out! Keep coming! Good work.
Stopping. Starting again. Hands free for Nukin. Another one of the Toyota Cup products. There's Corey Payne. Got a good offload on him. Was in career best form, arguably, early in the season. Tolman plays out the back to Keating. Short to Barber. Barber. Played out by the Roosters. And a knock-on is called.
He almost created something then. They played deep, the Bulldogs, and really didn't create an overlap, but Barber's footwork just had the Roosters double-checking as we see that there's 23,000, just tick over 23,300 here.
Most in blue and white. And with just less than 16 minutes remaining, with JJ Gilton and Shield for the minor premiership. Headed to Belmore. Barber out the back. Bounces off a couple and then gets manhandled by Brad Takarangi. Does so with a smile on his face. Playing centre field, Warrior Hargreaves. Messy tackle there with Finucane. Ennis out the back to Tolman. Deserves a try, Aiden. 13 hit-ups, 28 tackles. Ennis. Reynolds. Dummies, but goes straight into Cordner. And a very slow play the ball back to his skipper. Now onto the halfback and first receiver, Josh Morris. Jonathan Wright. Backs away from the sideline. Still going, but backwards. Now crossfield. And the Roosters scrambling well here. They've been tested from sideline to sideline. 5 tries to the Dogs already. They come across field looking for number 6. And there on the spot is Josh Jackson to collect his second for the Knights. Right place, right time for the rookie forward.
Well, the Roosters' goal line defence had been brave, and it took the kick from Josh Reynolds. And he got it right. The weight of it on the try line, that's where you want to put it. If a Rooster comes up with that, well, they get either 6 to go or they tackle the Roosters on their try line. But if you get the better result, and you get a ricochet off the hands, as they did, the bench, Cassiano and Pritchard, they've done their work tonight. And Josh Jackson has become another one of these players for Des Hasler that no one really expected that much of in season 2012.
Only in his 9th game, but has showed plenty. Josh Jackson to that man to say, I'm not here short term, I'm here long term, boss. Brisbane 100% tonight. Came into the game with 8 tries, 42 goals, 118 points. Is to make it 130 for the year. No drama. Just over 12 minutes remain. 36 points to 10. The Roosters scoreless in this second half to date. And a huge turnaround for the Dogs. They got touched up last round, 34-6 by the Raiders. And of course the Raiders in action tomorrow on NRL Sunday. The Warriors and the Raiders, 2 p.m. Hope you can join us. Right now it's the Roosters through Kennedy. And the game is interchanged well. The 1-2 combination with this man, Jared Warrior-Hargreaves. To Mitchell Pearce and Anthony Minicello. Josh Morris lost his footing there. There was an opening for the Roosters. It didn't matter. The Roosters unable to control the footy.
Well, that opening appeared because Josh Morris found himself on the ground. He slipped over as the ball came to him. The Roosters knew that if they could just shuffle the ball out quickly enough, they had an overlap. But Jonathan Wright didn't panic. He moved in on his man. Here's the kickoff. Warrior-Hargreaves, I think, almost gave himself up, thought he was offside. I thought he got a touch to the ball there. Play was allowed to continue. Might have been some justice there with the Roosters coming up with the error.
One of those new style haircuts, Big Jared, short on the sides and the big comb over, one side to the other. I've got hair envy. 6 converted tries to the Bulldogs.
Days long gone.
My hair, now it's growing in places where I don't want it. Here is Cassiano. Hasn't Big Sam been good tonight? Some quality work in the middle, putting his hand up when it's needed, Brandy, but bending the line each and every time. And of course, he's got that offload available. Josh Reynolds with the kick, and he leads the chase down along with Michael Ennis, but it's Greg Eastwood first to the man. Well done by Tupou there, assisting his veteran fullback, and Tuivasa-Sheck also assists. You Roosters fans, I know it's been a disappointing campaign, but some of these youngsters in this footy side are a side that across the board is younger than any playing NRL. There are some superstars here that are going to put smiles on your faces for years to come. Tautau Moga. Selguini is on the field. After will play the ball. 6 metres short of halfway. Braith over the top. Couldn't have been any better for Ben Barber. Almost beat Kennedy. He came to a big stop there in the tackle of Arona. Josh Reynolds coming from the field and limping from the field. David Stagg going on, and Stagg's limping going onto the field. So reshuffle in the makeup of the Bulldogs side for the final 8 or so minutes.
Don't want to alarm Bulldogs fans too much. If he was limping when he came off, he walked pretty freely to the bench.
Look at this from Eastwood to Ennis in a little bit of a in space, Michael Ennis, who hasn't scored a try so far this year. Barber to Jackson for a hat-trick, and the Bulldogs, they are the 2012 minor premiers.
Well, it's been some sort of second half from the Bulldogs, from the minor premiers of 2012. 18-10 at half-time. That their fourth try of this second half. And Josh Jackson grabs a hat-trick. Barber holding the ball up. Jackson hitting the hole. Nice ball play there by Benny Barber. Ran to the line. And a direct run to it from Josh Jackson.
There's a lot of footy to be played in 2012, even before we think of 2013. And he's going to fit in somewhere, but where does Tony Williams fit into this equation? Of course, the big T-Rex is...
Well, it's a nice problem for Des to have.
Isn't it?
Now, don't forget, Dean Hallertau is still on the sidelines, and he's had a terrific year himself and created a chance for the likes of Jackson and Finucane.
Inu. He makes it 42. 7 converted tries. 42-10 Adam McDougall. They're back.
They certainly are, guys. And if you have a look at history, history tells you that teams have gone on to win the grand final have had a fullback that not only can run the football and score tries, that can create tries. And Ben Barber showed just then, not only can he score tries, but he can set up tries as well.
Interesting stat. The last Bulldogs forward to score a hat-trick. Guy by the name of Sonny Bill Williams back in 2007. Josh Jackson etching his name into the record books. Five minutes. This is Cassiano. Absolute giant of a man. Putting his hand up for some work for Finucane. They've dominated time with the football. They've dominated where the football has been played.
Lock on.
The completion rate has been good for the majority of the season. Tonight, no exception. They've now completed 27 of 32. They're winning numbers.
When you listen to the Bulldogs players through the week, they were confident. We see Josh Reynolds on the bench. Another quality game from the Dogs, number 6. They are confident of setting things right after last week. He came up with every conceivable way to make an error down in Canberra, and they've fixed that with only 5 tonight, 27 from 32.
Minicello runs straight into Inu. And also Jackson flicks the ball back out to Pearce. A little bit more push and shove behind the players. Tuivasa Sheck gets a slow play the ball away. Launching himself at Martin Kennedy. There was Dale Finucane. The opposing 15, Tinarau Rona. Get up number 7 for him. Limited opportunities tonight for Tinarau from the interchange. Orbison gets the offload back to Seluini, onto an Astaran. In turn to Pearce, who crabs across field to link with Takarani. The Roosters finally straighten, but that is where their journey ends. Over the top. Barber, well positioned. And here he goes. Support on his outside. Ben Barber through. Ball puts the step on. Got caught by Anthony Minicello. Somehow he keeps going. And tosses it out to Josh Morris.
What a run. What a run that was.
Amazing.
From Benny Barber.
And did half of it with a headache.
And he thought about staying down there, but bounced to his feet that quick. He had to play on.
All the way, all the way.
But Anthony Minicello thankfully did. After a nervous moment earlier this year against another fullback in Josh Dugan.
Strip. While we're here, who was it back there?
Anthony Mincello.
While we're here,
Who was it?
Mincello. I'll report it.
Anthony Minicello is being called to the headmaster's office.
We've got a strip penalty here.
Here's the run
If we
from
didn't get it,
Barber
we're gonna
after
go
he
back to
beats
the
3 or 4 Roosters, steps
We're gonna
inside
put a
Minicello. Anthony Minicello jumped, hung the arm out, but really did a job to pull it back. Might have just clipped him.
Cassiano. The final few minutes looking to add to their score. Run around Ennis. Ennis! A metre from a try with a smile on the face, has not scored all year. Plays out the back to David Stagg at first receiver with the grubber through Minicello and a fumble. Still the ball is free. Who wants it? Krishnan Inu says I do.
Got about 100 knock-ons back here in the contest and doing the grounding here.
And that's about a correct summation. We had 100 knock-ons. Can we just check what happened? Says the referee.
Was there any knock-on from the Dogs?
I'd say yes.
Was there any tap forward from the Dogs? Ennis goes close to scoring his first try of the year. It's left to David Stagg.
Benny might have got a few.
He thinks he should just get it through the defensive line. Minicello tries to scoop it up with one hand, can't. Well, I think it was knocked out. Well, I think it was knocked out of Perrett's hands. I don't think you can class that as a knock-on from Sam Perrett. Even though he got his hands to the football, it was then knocked out of his hands
Stripping
by
the ball
Rooster.
in the act of scoring a try.
Oh, I think it's just play on. It's just play on. Minicello fumbles off his foot. Tupou up in the air. Perrett gets his hands to it, and then Tupou knocks it out of his hands forward.
As Inu dropped it at the end.
Well, I think they're going to have a look at that now because I think everything before it is okay. That's not a knock-on by Sam Perrett. That's okay. I think Inu drops the ball. As he's going towards the sideline, he drops it.
He's dropped it.
After all that. After all that.
94 touches in a square metre. Some of them forward, some of them back, and a fumble at the end. So the first knock-on would be Roosters, therefore goal line dropout.
Anthony Minicello.
Perhaps.
Anthony Minicello knocks the ball on in goal.
So it's not over yet.
When you want time on.
The knock-on from that man.
What time on yet?
Just over 2 minutes remaining. Looking for an 8th try. Going to finish with an exclamation point. Big dropout taken by Keating. Here come the Dogs one last time. Through Finucane. One plays 4, week 1 of the semi-finals. Inu, crossfield to Barber, out of the halfback. A deflection there, taken by the Roosters, and they should go length of the field here. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck gets hauled in by Greg Eastwood somehow. With 90 seconds to go, the big bloke showed some toe. Across field, initially through Arona. They go wide. Out to Moga. Already has one tonight. Stops, starts, and tries that go again. Worked the first time, so why not? Held in the tackle. Tau. To Mitchell Pearce and onto Martin Kennedy, and the big front rower puts a goose step on there, flings it out the back. Tinarau Arona is now within 4 metres. They haven't conceded points in the second half, the Bulldogs. And they stop it there with just under 40 seconds remaining, so that should be it.
Yeah, they've got that much time. The players are shaking hands to get play underway, so that will be it. Greg Eastwood worn out after his chase there at Tuivasa-Sheck.
The celebrations have begun at ANZ Stadium, on the field, on the sideline and in the grandstands. The 2012 minor premiers, the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, back in form and ready for semi-final football. It has finished 7 tries to 2. The Bulldogs, 42, have defeated the Roosters, 10.
They'll finish the season on 40 competition points, 12 wins on the trot leading into round 25, where they were humbled by the Canberra Raiders last week, but they get their tilt at the premiership back on track with a convincing win here tonight. And some great individual performances, as there has been all season for the Bulldogs. The Roosters' year is done. Braith Anasta has played his final game in a Roosters jumper. We've got the minor premiers here at ANZ Stadium.
Big night for so many reasons. Let's head onto the field with Adam McDougall.
Joining me, guys, is Benny Barber. Mate, you said you had a bit of a headache.
Yeah, look, mate, it was a bit of a rough game, even though the scoreline was how it is. But yeah, mate, I think it's just from all the running.
All right, the only way they can stop you at the moment is taking your head off. But mate, great effort from you guys tonight. Minor premiers, how's that feel?
Yeah, mate, it's always good to be on top at the end of the season. But everyone knows finals are different. Like I say, different season again. So, mate, it's my first one. I'm glad we can, get the win tonight and go on to next week with a bit of confidence.
And what do you think you need to do next week to win, I suppose?
Oh, everything we did tonight, hold the ball complete and just be in the game for the full 80.
And mate, on a personal note, the Dally M's on Tuesday night, how are you feeling? You picked out your suit and I think you might win it. What do you reckon?
Nah, look, mate, I said it the other day, it's just an honour to have my name tossed around for such a prestigious medal. So, look, mate, we'll have to wait until Tuesday, see what happens, but I know there's some great footballers behind me there or somewhere around, so anything can happen.
Well, mate, good luck on Tuesday night and for the rest of the year.
Thanks, mate.
Join me now, Braith Anasta, mate. Disappointing way to finish your career at the Roosters tonight, mate.
Yeah, it was. We wanted to put a better performance in than that. We played well last week. Probably the last couple of weeks we played really well. We're pretty confident going into it. And we were in and up to our eyeballs at half time there, but they got a roll in the second half. They were just too good for us.
Do you think last week the emotion of your last game and obviously Mini's 250 took a bit out of you guys?
Yeah, it did. I think it did. We really lifted for last week, and it was a really emotional week last week and also this week. And there's no excuses, but we should have put in a better performance than that. And it's been a disappointing year, so it's sad to leave on that note.
Yeah, thanks very much, Braith, and good luck, mate.
Cheers, Dukes. Thanks, mate.
Braith Anasta, a disappointing night for him, but celebrations if you're wearing blue and white. A big victory for the Bulldogs. They are semi-final bound. Super Saturday's not over. It continues after the break live on Fox Sports.
George, over 50 years ago. And let me hand the microphone now to the Interim Chief Executive Officer. Please welcome Shane Matisky.
Congratulations to the Bulldogs on a fantastic achievement. You've played some fantastic football this year to win the minor premiership. You're backed by some of the most passionate fans in the game, and you're backed by a coach who's made history this year. Des Hasler becomes the first coach to win a premiership with one team and a minor premiership with a team the next season. Congratulations again, and best of luck in the coming weeks.
Thank you, Shane. Shane Matisky, the Interim Chief Executive Officer. And now let's welcome the Bulldogs captain on stage. It's fitting that he's got his family with him with Father's Day coming up tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Michael Ennis.
Firstly, thanks to the Roosters. It was a great game of footy tonight, so thanks, boys, and all the best for next season. To our boys, great response from last week, boys. It's been a great week, and really proud of your effort tonight, boys. For all you guys that turned up tonight, we're 3 games, although this is very important to us, and we thank you for your support. We've got 3 games to go, so we'll see you in a few weeks.
The party is just beginning out here at ANZ Stadium, but I don't think the Bulldogs players, and we know the Bulldogs coach, want to get ahead of themselves just yet. But Desi, there's no flying under the radar now.
No, there's not. Look, that is a great performance for the Bulldogs, who missed the 8 last year, ran 9th, to get a new coach in. Really only one major signing in James Graham. They did bring some players in through the season, Kristen Inu and Sam Perrott. But to do it basically with the same squad that they had last year is an extraordinary effort. And some of the performances of some of those Bulldogs players this year has been remarkable. They win the minor premiership, but there is still plenty of football to come. They won't get too excited.
Off-field leader Todd Greenberg there, himself an outstanding job over the last couple of years for a club that really could have gone one of 2 ways over the last couple of years. What would be most pleasing for you tonight in the way they've bounced back into form and won the minor premiership?
Well, I think for the Dogs themselves, they had to bounce back after being beaten so soundly last week, and they did. We wondered whether that was the loss that they had to have. We were only going to find that out after the 80 minutes of football here tonight against the Roosters, and I think it's fair to say that they've corrected all the issues that needed correcting, and it was a performance that saw them score 4 converted tries in that second half, really to blow the Roosters off the park.
It was 18 points to 10 at half-time in favour of the Bulldogs, and the Doggies, they continued it in the second half. It began in the 43rd minute.
Didn't take them long to get underway, did it? And we thought if they were able to score the first try, the pass there from Barber and the lead-up work from the forwards in James Graham, Sam Cassiano, was just brilliant. And how many times have we seen that this year, where forwards, an interchange of passing between the forwards has opened it up. From the other side of halfway again, Ben Barber there supporting, did a marvellous job to throw the ball to Chris Keating, who was able to dive under a Roosters defender to score their opening try.
Ben Barber amongst the tries.
Josh Reynolds going across the field, hooking that one back over the back of the ruck, and Barber doing a miraculous job really to get the ball down just inside the dead ball line. We've seen him do that on any number of occasions in 2012.
Josh Jackson became the Bulldogs' newest member of the hat-trick club. 2 beauties.
Yeah, not often you find a Bulldog back row scoring a hat-trick. Josh Jackson scoring his second there, being on the spot after a kick, and then pushing forward and hitting the hole. Ben Barber out of dummy half, just holding the ball up long enough for Jackson to find himself into a little bit of space and crash across an Anthony Minicello tackle to score his 3rd try.
Tonight, young Josh will certainly remember. He scored 3. Barber, NRL's leading try scorer. Keating, Pritchard and Morris, Kristen Inu faultless with the boot. He converted each and every one. For the Roosters, Minicello and Moga. The try scorers, Braith and Astor at 50% with the boot. 42 points to 10. The minor premiership is theirs. The Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs in first grade, in Toyota Cup and in New South Wales Cup, as we take a look at the premiership ladder. And this is how it is. There's your top 8. Apart from the fact the Raiders in 8th have got that game in hand tomorrow, they can move up. The Cowboys and Sharks do battle tomorrow as well, so
that's right.
They can change, but the 8's the 8.
Yeah, and the top 4 is wrapped up. That's how the top 4 will stand. And of course, the Cronulla Sharks and the Cowboys, there could be some movement there, but the Canberra Raiders have all they've wrapped up 8 spot.
Yeah, they certainly have. Big night, our final Super Saturday of 2012. Hope you've enjoyed all the action. Don't forget NRL Sunday and NRL Sunday night. It continues tomorrow, the Warriors and the Raiders, live from Mount Smart Stadium. And tomorrow night, we are back here as we farewell Dean Young, Ben Hornby, Luke Burt and Nathan Hindmarsh. NRL Sunday night, the Parramatta Eels and St George Illawarra Dragons. Hope you've enjoyed all the action on this Super Saturday. Still plenty more footy coming your way on Fox Sports.
Has been a production of Fox Sports in partnership with the National Rugby League.